Yes, that I thought before I got mad at him, I thought that he would have some kind of a solution to life's problems. Then I found I had to find the solution myself, which I suppose was what he did. Brings you to that point.
Both Jung and I minded most of all about wholeness, about becoming whole, and that I've got at it through my art by always trying to draw paintings that looked whole, animals, primitives, anything that seemed still at one with itself and whole. And he got at it by studying the things that were wrong with people and then realizing the way to get it right was to find their wholeness, to find the opposite to the thing that was destroying us at heaven. And of course I went through tremendous encounter with the unconscious. One always does in analysis, particularly with him. He lets you pick flowers by the way.
When you met him in the club or when you met him privately or in analysis, it was always a man interested in the, I would like to use the word, in the supernatural food. Always. Yeah. Into the depths. And you see, you could come into his room in analysis. And he was just speaking about the dreams you had before, last night. Not knowing them, but he was involved. He was so transparent for people. And that was a fascinating thing in the relationship with Jung. Therefore, everybody who knew Jung has a feeling he speaks one's own language.
I felt that Jung should tell me what I should do, whether I should write a book, whether I should get a divorce, what I should do. And he wouldn't. And so I got mad at him. And I said, why is everybody so mean to me? And he said, why are you so mean to everybody? So I stormed out. And he said there, I said to him, why is everybody so mean to me? And he said, why are you so mean to everybody? That was the trigger point. I was gone for years. And I wrote him, I don't know. Every now and then I'd sit down at the typewriter and write him what a son of a bitch I thought he was. How when I first got to Europe, everyone thought he was a charlatan. I thought he was too. And I didn't, he was the most conceited, vain man. And I really had a great time.
And you sent all these letters?
Sent the letters, of course I did. And I thought, I hope he drops dead of a stroke. And I felt very good. I just felt fine. When I can get mad, I can lose 5 pounds just by getting mad. But the adrenaline goes, and I just think, it's the opposite of poor little me. And I don't care. Let the world go stuff it up. I don't care what happens. And one morning I woke up, and I began to laugh. I thought, for God's sake, what's been going on here? What a jackass you. And suddenly I realized, sure, he really did it. And so I phoned Miss Schmidt, Fräulein Schmidt, and asked if I could have an appointment. And she laughed and said, oh, yes, she said, Professor Jung told me to save some time for you. He thought you'd be calling shortly.
And sometimes he'd be quite unfair to one. And he'd tell me, at the club, for instance, he'd go and something to be hurried to people. Then you'd go home soon. Now, it wasn't that nasty of me. I really spoilt their weekend and saw it was on Saturday evenings. But when they next came to analysis, he found that that particular nastiness was exactly what they wanted, what they needed. I really got more from Jung when he hit me over the head than the other time. I don't mean literally.
He had very small eyes, and when he looked through those little eyes, well, usually over the top of his eyeglasses, you knew that he was looking at something that you couldn't see. And what came out was usually some very simple fact. It wasn't any aura or any great message that came back from the beyond. It was something about your ordinary life or the ordinary situation. I described a party where I felt the shadow got loose with Jung in the center of it, where they threw a knotted towel from one person to another around a circle. Jung kept this thing going almost beyond endurance, and I fell down and broke my glasses, and somebody else skinned a knee, and at the end of the party we were all in shambles, but this was characteristic of Jung's intolerance of persona. He was so afraid that the party would stick on a polite persona level that he engineered it to bring out the shadow. And in the end, we all had a marvelous time. We all got drunk, and it was it ended very happily.
Jung was not apt to be a father figure. He was, in an astonishing way, near to you. Natural. He could sit down, and after 10 seconds, you felt to speak with a brother, not with a father. And if you had had this brother relationship to him, where you discussed in a free way, where you accepted that he got angry, where you also were ready to get angry at him, as men do in an upright, clear way, it was easy to get along with him. But the moment where one thought that he was a father figure, he was for men very destructive. Because he was too irrational to give a guidance as a father. He changed too openly, too often his mind to give such a guidance. That's a natural thing to change one's mind. But a normal thing. But a father should give a certain guidance. And he had no intention at all to give a guidance. So for men, it was often difficult because the moment men look, and many men look for a father, for a father, whereas with women it went along much better because a woman doesn't look so much for a father, she looks for a lover. And he was charming, seducing, and there he offered transference, often a little bit too much. But with a great healing power. With a great healing power.
Well, what about the atmosphere in Zurich at that time?
Well, that's what put me off. Oh, the cultism was just reeking. It was just awful. There were the transferences. And I swore I would never get a transference. That's one thing I decided right away. Because it just looked too awful. I mean, these people were just goofy. And, but I got a transference.
Couldn't help it.
Couldn't help it. I mean, after all, you get a transference because what's missing in you has got to be seen in somebody else. And there was plenty missing in me, you know, and with a man of Jung's caliber. There's a lot missing. But I never felt as though I had too much transference. It didn't last too long because Jung, the one nice thing about, or the good thing about him was he gave so much of himself. He just gave you everything he had. So it wasn't as though you had a hangover. You got it all, you know?
I never felt in awe of him. I just thought sometimes he was funny. When we used to have a little argument about God, he said, I'm not so sure about God. I'm perfectly willing if he shows up, fine. I used to say to you, of course, if he shows up, he'll probably look like you. And, I guess that I thought before I got mad at him, I thought that he would have some kind of a solution to life's problems. Then I found I had to find the solution myself, which I suppose was what he did. Brings you to that point.
We didn't know whether we were fish, flesh, or fowl, and we had to find ourselves anew. I dreamt that Jung was a Protestant clergyman standing the pulpit, giving a sermon, and we were all in the pews, and when he finished his sermon, all the others got up and began to chant mandala, mandala, the way they might in Christian times have said Hosanna. And this represented a worshipful attitude to Jung that was laughable, as you can imagine. So I thought, I hate to tell Jung this dream, but I did. And he said, well, of course you should feel that way. I was simply projecting my own Protestant background, making Jung a father figure, making the other people into a group, which they were not.
Freud always wanted to break a transference and to
Resolve it?
to resolve it and to bring people to life again, down to the adaptation to life again. But Jung had another point of view, had the feeling as long as we have a strong transference, one must serve it, because he said there is a greater personality involved in transference. We don't know what this greater personality has in storage, and so we must serve it. And that was tremendously difficult for Jung. He often told us, you see, I should have 10 lives in order really to follow the development of the integration process so deeply as he did with us all.
Yes.
But that was also what interested him. He many times said, without you women, I couldn't have developed my psychology.
You have a relationship to Jung, then you have to work on it, and the meaning is a result, perhaps, you see. I can say I projected on him a father, but I also projected on him a mother, you see. And the one who accepted me, I could say. And from this, in the course of the years, I found a place in this world. I found a place in myself and in the world. A transference is a projection. Yes. So I projected on him this and that, and he took it seriously, and he acted accordingly. But he never laughed at it. He accepted it. He accepted it.
I remember once a patient wanted to marry Jung. She was convinced that he was the man for her and for her lifetime. In vain, Jung explained to her that he already was married. She continued to be convinced, and therefore Jung accepted. She went on, prepared a marriage deal, had printed cards, everything was ready. Jung continued to accept in full confidence of unconscious reactions coming from the patients or from him. And the day before the planned marriage, he got an express letter from the patient telling him that this night God had told her that unhappiness, the marriage would not be possible. The patient came out of her psychosis, had always in her memory this event, and was completely balanced afterwards. That's how Jung handles the transference situation as a full reality and having fully confidence in the unconscious, which would lead the patient and himself through the seemingly difficult situation.